We live in a world full of distractions and constant worries, and it's easy to fall into the trap of overthinking. Marcus Aurelius, the famous Stoic philosopher and Roman emperor, reminded us of a fundamental truth. The power over our minds resides within ourselves. We cannot control external events, but we do have control over how we react and process those events in our minds. If it's your first time on my channel, I ask you to help me by subscribing and liking the video so I can continue creating more content like this in the future. Stay until the end of this video. The final tip for overcoming overanalysis will invite you to reflect deeply on your life so far. Join us throughout the video and discover a revelation that will change your perspective on your own journey. The common experience of a mind full of noise and incessant thoughts is something we all share at some point in our lives. The frustration of being trapped in an endless cycle of rumination, the indecision that paralyzes us, and the feeling of being overwhelmed by constant analysis are challenges many of us face. The problem with overthinking is that it traps us in a state of constant worry about the future or the past, instead of allowing us to fully enjoy the present. We find ourselves caught in a spiral that prevents us from making clear decisions and living serenely. If you are looking for ways to break this cycle and reclaim your mental space, you are in the right place. Discover how to control your emotions and unlock your true potential with our ebook, The Power of the Mind. Click the link in the first pinned comment to get it now. Let's begin.
1. Change your perspective toward gratitude. Our minds can be deceptive. They often lead us into a labyrinth of overanalysis about what we lack, what could go wrong, or what we have not yet achieved. This is an endless loop that can leave us feeling exhausted and discontented. Overthinking often arises from a focus on negative aspects or on what hasn't happened yet in life, obscuring the good things that are already present. Seneca once said that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future. This gem of Stoic wisdom urges us to shift our perspective from lack to abundance, from overanalysis to gratitude. It's about recognizing the value of the present moment and the many blessings we often overlook when we are busy worrying about what is to come. The practice of gratitude pulls us out of the grooves of our minds and plants us firmly in the rich soil of the present, where life truly happens. To make this shift, start by acknowledging 3 things you are grateful for each day. They don't have to be big, just genuine. They can be as simple as a delicious cup of coffee, the comfort of your favorite hoodie, or a message from a friend. This simple practice can steer your mind away from the cycle of overthinking toward a sense of appreciation for what is right now in your life. By anchoring in gratitude, you are not only silencing the noise of overthinking, but also enriching your daily experience. Gratitude magnifies the positive in our lives and can slowly transform our inner dialogue from one of scarcity to one of abundance. Over time, this new perspective can change how you face life's challenges, turning them into opportunities to recognize and appreciate even more of what is already good in your world. It's not just about feeling better in the present moment, but about building a foundation of contentment that can sustain you through life's inevitable ups and downs.
2. Embrace impermanence and practice letting go. Let's be honest, our minds often get stuck in a cycle, replaying past events or worrying about the future. This is the playground of overthinking, where thoughts become sticky and persist longer than desired. It's a challenge that doesn't discriminate. It affects students worried about exams, professionals stressed about presentations, or anyone trying to fall asleep while their mind races at full speed. In the midst of this mental marathon, we can find solace in the words of Epictetus, who tells us that he who fears death will never do anything worthy of a living man. Although this quote might sound a bit heavy, it's really about the concept of impermanence, which is fundamental to Stoicism. Everything changes, and this includes the thoughts that seem so persistent in our minds. When we overthink, we often cling to our thoughts as if they were permanent fixtures in our lives. Accepting impermanence means understanding that thoughts come and go. They are not eternal. This understanding can be a beacon of hope when you feel trapped by overthinking. Practically, Embracing impermanence involves cultivating the habit of letting go. It's a kind of mental decluttering where we consciously release thoughts that do not serve us. You can do this by imagining a river where each thought is a leaf on the water's surface, floating away. Or perhaps you see them as ever-changing clouds, forming and eventually drifting away. This visualization not only provides immediate relief, but also instills a deeper understanding that the nature of thought is to change. Integrating this practice into your daily routine can transform your relationship with your thoughts. It's not about forcefully expelling them, but about allowing them to leave. Letting go is not giving up. It's an act of courage. It means you choose not to let redundant thoughts occupy your mind rent-free. As you become better at this, you will notice a new mental space, a tranquility that was always there, hidden beneath the noise of overthinking. Embracing impermanence is not just a technique. It's a shift toward a calmer, more present way of living.
3. Focus on effort, not on outcome. Overthinking often arises from our mind's dance with the future, its results, its what-ifs, and its relentless possibilities of failure and disappointment. This projection into the future can paralyze us with fear as we obsess over the potential consequences of our actions instead of the actions themselves. We live in a results-oriented society where the end often justifies the means, and this can lead us to believe that if the outcome is uncertain, the journey isn't worthwhile. However, a Stoic quote from Epictetus offers us a clear directive. Don't explain your philosophy, live it. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our efforts and intentions rather than on outcomes we cannot control. This doesn't mean we shouldn't set goals or aspire to achieve great things, but it does imply that true value lies in the quality of our effort, the integrity of our actions, and the virtue with which we navigate our path. To apply this technique, whenever you find yourself overthinking about the potential results of your efforts, consciously redirect your thoughts toward the effort itself. Ask yourself, are you giving your best? Are you acting with good intention? Are you being true to your values? This approach is about being fully present in the process, putting in the work, and knowing that your responsibility ends there. This focus on effort can free us from the chains of overthinking. It allows us to be in the moment, give our best, without the heavy shadow of what might be darkening our experience. It transforms our actions from mere steps toward an outcome into expressions of our character and commitment. With this shift in focus, you discover that your path is not just a means to an end, but an embodiment of living with purpose, where each step is an achievement in itself. The last 3 strategies open the door to new perspectives, allowing you to harness unexplored strengths, foster practical resilience, and handle life's complexities with a sense of balance. 4. Take control by refocusing your energy. Have you ever found yourself trapped in a spiral of what-ifs and apocalyptic scenarios, replaying the same worries over and over until you feel mentally exhausted? It's like having multiple tabs open in your mind, each playing a video at full volume, and you can't seem to hit pause. This mental multitasking is a hallmark of modern life, where the pressure to keep up with everything can lead to an endless cycle of overthinking. But just like a cluttered desk, a cluttered mind needs to be organized. Redirecting your mental energy is not just about finding peace of mind, but about regaining control and silencing the endless noise of what could be so you can appreciate what is. Seneca, another Stoic sage, expressed wisdom with his words, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence on the future." This wise advice serves as a cornerstone for taking control by redirecting your energy. To stop overthinking, start by anchoring yourself in the now. Focus on one task, even something small, and channel your energy into completing it. This shift in focus pulls you out of the whirlpool of what-ifs about the future and anchors you in the present moment. The practical application is simple yet profound. Engage in an activity that requires your full attention. It can be something as simple as organizing your workspace, taking a brisk walk, or immersing yourself in a book. These actions require the now, not tomorrow or yesterday. By aligning your thoughts with your actions, you are not just distracting yourself, you are taking command of where your mental energy flows. Remember,
Stoicism is not about suppressing thoughts, but about managing them. By choosing where to invest your mental energy, you are practicing a form of mental discipline.
The goal is not to avoid overthinking entirely. That would be an unrealistic expectation. But to recognize when your thoughts are not serving you and to have the tools to redirect them. It's like training a muscle. The more you exercise this power of redirection, the stronger and more resilient your mind becomes. You will discover that the overwhelming tide of overthinking that once dominated you can be tamed, moment by moment, with deliberate actions and presence in the here and now. 5. Visualize your overthinking as an external force, something that lurks in your mind like fog looming over what was once a clear, sunny day. It starts as a single worry or idea, but quickly expands until it brings you down like a storm suddenly breaking loose. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with information, like hail in a storm, and our minds fill with questions like, what if? What comes next? What could have been? Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher and emperor, once said that the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. This quote leads us to our first technique for combating overthinking, visualizing it as an external force. This is not about making your thoughts into enemies, but about recognizing that these invasive thoughts are not the core of who you are. They are like invaders of your mental peace. Imagine those intrusive thoughts as clouds passing over a majestic mountain. You are that mountain, firm and immovable, while the clouds drift momentarily around you. How can you defend yourself against these invaders? Stoicism teaches us to observe without becoming emotionally involved. You can imagine placing those thoughts in a bubble and then watching them float away from you. This mental exercise not only reduces their weight, but also reinforces the understanding that thoughts are transient. They can only disturb your peace if you cling to them and give them power. Practicing this visualization creates a mental reflex that helps you detach and release these thoughts before they become an emotional storm. As you become better at distinguishing yourself from this avalanche of excessive thoughts, it becomes easier to see that you are not simply the sum of your thoughts. This distinction acts as a shield, similar to earplugs in a noisy crowd. It is a deliberate, ongoing effort that strengthens with daily practice. When you realize you are starting to overthink, stop and visualize that thought as unnecessary noise, separate from who you are at your core. By doing this, you are not only protecting yourself against overthinking, but also reclaiming your mental territory and your peace, one step at a time. Each time you practice this technique, you are strengthening your ability to remain calm and find serenity in the midst of mental chaos.
6. Create a worry period. It is a common human experience to have worries that nag at the back of our minds, persistent like the hum of a refrigerator, always present, sometimes barely perceptible, but undeniably there. These worries can hijack our thoughts at any moment, often when we are trying to concentrate on work, enjoy time with friends, or even when we try to sleep. It's as if our mind is a stage, and these worries are uninvited actors who won't leave. But consider this wisdom from the Stoic master Epictetus. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This quote might seem off-topic, but it is a bold reminder to prioritize our peace of mind over yielding to worry for the sake of appearing complacent or naive. Creating a worry period is a strategic way to give these worries their moment on stage, but only during the encore, not as the main act. Set aside a specific time each day, perhaps 20 minutes in the afternoon, when you allow yourself to give your full attention to these worries. During this time, dive deep into your concerns, scrutinize them, understand their roots, and even write them down. What are you really worried about? How likely are these scenarios?
What can you do about them? This focused session often reveals that many of our worries are like shadows, seemingly large but without much substance when you face them directly. This process also teaches your mind that there is a time and a place to worry, and it is not all day, every day. Then, when the worry period ends, you move on. You have given your worries their allotted time, and now you set them aside. By compartmentalizing them this way, you can regain control over your day. The goal is not to stop worrying altogether. That's impossible. But by containing your worries, you reduce their impact on your life. This technique is like tidying your mental room, placing thoughts where they belong, and enjoying the tranquility of an organized space. You will likely discover that worries lose their power when they are not allowed to wander freely, and life becomes a little lighter and a little more enjoyable.
7. Decompress overwhelming thoughts into concrete steps. When overthinking assails us, it can feel like carrying the weight of a giant rock. The size of our worries seems to equal the weight of the entire world, and we become trapped under the dense cloud of our own thoughts. This feeling is not unique. It's a shared human condition, aggravated in a world that demands high performance in all areas of life: work, relationships, personal growth, and social status. The pressure to excel can paralyze us with indecision and fear. As a guide through this fog of overthinking, Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action becomes the action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This profound insight is the basis of our 5th technique, transforming overwhelming thoughts into concrete steps. When your mind is plagued by a big worry or a complex problem, the trick is to break it down into smaller, manageable parts. Ask yourself, what is the next step I can take? Not all 5, 10, or 20 steps forward, but just the very next one. Acting on a single step might seem trivial, but it is a powerful antidote to overthinking. By focusing on one action, you channel the energy of worrying into doing.
It's similar to untangling a large knot by working on one small tangle at a time. You are not ignoring the complexity of your worries. You are navigating through them with purpose and precision. The beauty of this technique lies in its simplicity and effectiveness. Each small step you take builds momentum, and when you look back, you realize that that rock of worry is now a pile of pebbles. You have moved forward, step by step. This method teaches patience, resilience, and confidence in your ability to face challenges head-on. Suddenly, what once seemed insurmountable is left behind, and overthinking is transformed into a feeling of accomplishment and clarity.
8. Seek wisdom outside yourself. This is fundamental. When we find ourselves caught in the whirlwind of overthinking, our minds often become an intricate labyrinth where every effort to find an exit seems to lead to greater confusion and more analysis. We try to solve a puzzle, only to discover that the pieces seem to multiply endlessly, leaving us trapped in a never-ending cycle. This is the essence of overthinking, a cycle that begins and ends within the borders of our own thoughts, often without offering us a clear and definitive way out. A man revered for his wisdom gave us invaluable advice. Consult your friend in everything, especially in those matters that concern yourself. His counsel may be useful where your own self-love might affect your judgment. These simple words encapsulate a profound truth that can serve as a compass in the stormy waters of overthinking. Stoicism teaches us that seeking perspectives outside our own can break the endless cycle of rumination. This insight can come from a friend with a fresh perspective, the objective advice of a mentor, or the timeless wisdom found in literature. To apply this principle in a modern context, it is crucial to seek the opinion of people you trust and respect. This could be someone in your inner circle, or a professional with the necessary experience to guide you. Sharing your thoughts with them not only provides you with clarity as you articulate what is on your mind, but also opens the door to receiving objective feedback you might have overlooked while immersed in the whirlwind of thoughts. This technique not only offers practical solutions, but also reminds us that human connection is invaluable. When we share our burdens with others, they often become lighter. This does not represent weakness, but rather a recognition of the collective strength we possess as social beings. Allow the wisdom of others to be the light that guides you out of the shadows of overthinking. With each conversation, you will discover that the puzzle becomes easier to solve, not because the problems are less complex, but because you are no longer trying to solve them alone. In connection with others,
you will find the necessary support to face even the most intricate challenges, and together you will find solutions that you might not have been able to see on your own.
9. Practice voluntary discomfort. This is a powerful strategy to free ourselves from the cycle of overthinking that traps us when we face uncomfortable situations or life changes. Our minds tend to create imaginary scenarios over and over, trying to anticipate every possible outcome and preparing for every imaginable discomfort. This constant mental rumination can be exhausting and keeps us trapped in our comfort zone, a kind of mental prison where personal growth stagnates and overthinking acts as the jailer. Consciously facing voluntary discomfort allows us to train our minds to handle uncertainty and reduce overanalysis. It involves taking small, chosen actions that push us out of our comfort zone, teaching us resilience and adaptability in the process. To integrate this practice into modern life, you can start with something small, like taking a cold shower, sleeping without a pillow, or walking instead of driving. Do something that disrupts your usual routine and sit with whatever feelings arise without judging yourself. It's important to understand that this practice is not intended to punish you.
Rather, it's about demonstrating to yourself that discomfort is not as frightening as your overanalyzing mind paints it to be. Voluntary discomfort has a paradoxical effect. By routinely exposing yourself to the uncomfortable, the unknown becomes familiar, and your mind learns to calm down. You become less reactive to change and more focused on what you can control, your responses and attitudes toward difficult situations. This powerful shift not only reduces overanalysis, but also builds an inner core of strength and resilience that remains unaffected by the natural fluctuations of life circumstances. By practicing voluntary discomfort, you become more capable of facing challenges, accepting the unknown, and finding peace in the midst of uncertainty. Over time, this practice gives you a profound sense of confidence and inner strength in all facets of your life.
10. Reflect on the transience of life. When we find ourselves trapped in the storm of overthinking, it is generally because we have focused too much on the minute details of our lives, losing sight of the big picture. Our thoughts become a tangle of what if this happens or what if that doesn't work out, causing us to lose perspective. This microscopic view can make even the smallest problems seem insurmountable, consuming our mental space and energy. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short life, but that we make it short. We are not ill-provided, but we waste what we have." This reminder encourages us to reflect on the fleeting nature of our existence. Every moment dedicated to overthinking is a moment not fully lived, a portion of life not savored. Stoicism urges us to ask ourselves whether our worries will carry any weight on the timeline of our lives. To counteract overthinking, we must regularly step back and consider our life in its entirety, recognizing that many of the things that occupy our thoughts are transient and, in the long run, insignificant. When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts, stop and remember that life is fleeting.
Ask yourself whether this moment of overthinking is truly worth the limited time you have. Reflecting on the transience of life helps us naturally prioritize our experiences and concerns. This is not an invitation to become gloomy or indifferent, but rather to appreciate the present and focus on what truly matters. It is a powerful antidote to overthinking because it aligns our attention with the present, our appreciation for the now, and diminishes the weight of future-focused anxieties. It allows the ephemeral nature of life to be not a source of anxiety, but a canvas upon which you paint with the vibrant colors of presence and engaged living. If you liked our video, please like the video, subscribe, and comment on what you thought so that YouTube knows that this type of video helps people like you, and we can continue to create more similar videos in the future.